Hi, my name is Ellie Wichman. I am a art education major, originally from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Growing up, creating was quite, I don't know, it's an inner urge. It's not something that, I need this to happen, or I need the stars to come into retro, it's nothing like that. A lot of the time it's music. I'll feel the emotion in music, and I'll feel just the sounds and the rhythms and the story behind it. Some of my favorite stuff is classical music and just really emotional music. Barber's Adagio for strings is one of my favorite pieces because it has so many different melodies, and in my head I can hear the rhythm, I can hear the movement, I can hear the colors and how they swirl. And just the emotion behind a lot of the music for me makes me feel really inspired to just create what I'm feeling, and really inspired to understand how they created it and everything in between. I think creatives help creatives be creative. Yeah, if that makes sense. I also think when you have the Lord in you and you understand that, Genesis 1:27 talks about how we are made in the likeness of God, and God is the creator. And so a lot of the time when people are like, well, I'm born artistic, no, you're born creative. Everyone's creative. I truly believe that. But what we artists do is we take that and we use pen or paper or clay or anything else, because that urge inside of us gets so strong that we have to put it out somewhere. And if we don't, there's this our soul gets heavy, because we want to be like our God. We want to be like the Messiah. And that's what we get to do when we're creative, and that's what we get to do when we do art. My painting of the Morning Mother, it's in my Painting 1 class that we have with Professor Opp. And it was the final project. And I remember taking so much time on this. Genuinely, I would stay up in the studio until 2 a.m. working on it. But I think it was the first time that I actually created something that I thought I couldn't create, and truly allowed, this is gonna sound so over spiritualized, but truly, I allowed the Spirit to paint it, and I allowed the Spirit to have my fingertips. When it's based off of a vision that the Lord gave me on the way to Upper Room in Dallas, and I was in the back of the car and I was praying, and the Lord just brought this vision of me about Revelation 4, and I had never read Revelation 4 beforehand, and it was one of those moments that I needed to paint. How the Lord speaks through me with visions and prophecies is that He allows me my whole senses. So I can feel, I can touch, I can smell, I can hear, I can see. And in that moment, all I remember is that there was this, sitting, just this emotion, my soul was so heavy, it was mourning something that I've never felt that mourning of. In my hands, I could feel something. And I looked down, and it was dark, and it was dark, and there was something on my hands, and there was just shouting. And I looked down at my hands, and there's a rag, and it's wet, and I don't quite understand it. And then it went dark, and I remember looking up and realizing what I was seeing and what I was holding was the cloth that Jesus was wearing when He was crucified. And I could hear the shouting. and I could feel the mourning. And I have never once in my life had a vision like that. The Lord has blessed me with a few more since then. But in that moment, the Lord allowed me to receive the understanding of what the cross was through the eyes of his mother, through the mourning mother. And in that time within this world, it kind of made sense. It was right at the start of the Israeli and Palestinian conflict. And there's something about it that each side was being attacked so viciously, so violently. And there were so many pictures of these women holding their children, sobbing and crying out. And there was this urge, like I had to paint it. I have never had urges like that to paint something. And most of the time it's like, oh, I want to paint this vision that the Lord has given me. And like, I'll paint what I remember seeing. But in that moment, it wasn't that I was remembering I was painting what I remembered. I was painting what I was seeing every time I picked up that paintbrush. And I remember sitting in the downstairs art room painting that. And just encountering the Lord like I have never encountered him. And praying and interceding for the first time for a nation across the way, and not just Israel, not just Palestine, but for the people of the nation, for the mothers of that nation who are crying out to the Lord. And understanding that in conflict, the mourning, the sorrow, it all equates back to the man of constant sorrow. And as someone who is very joyous and very lively a lot of the time, being able to finally not feel guilty for feeling that sorrow, for feeling that mourning, for feeling everything in between, it was freeing. And I remember looking at that painting still and feeling the cloth on my hands, hearing the people shouting, seeing the seraphim, seeing the angels, hearing the angels at the very end of the vision shouting, "Holy, holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty," being in the throne room again and seeing the scroll being torn in two. And a singular painting, a singular 36-inch by 36-inch canvas oil painting changed the trajectory of how I painted from here on out. It's something that I've carried into my senior project. It's something how I've carried into other projects, that I could not have painted that. That wasn't me. I give full glory, full credit to the Lord. Because it's tear-jerking, it's evoking, it's offensive. But the gospel's offensive. And it showcases a side of the Lord and a side of my heart that I don't think that I had ever experienced before and ever expressed before through art. It was freeing. It truly was.